convene the April 15th, 2026 regular board meeting to order at 7 p.m. Jackie, please call the roll.
Emily Swister.
Here.
Vanessa Berry.
Here.
Debbie Bryan.
Here.
Josh Martin.
Here.
Karen Larson.
Here.
Laura Paley.
Here.
Liz Sullivan.
Here.
Okay, thank you. Agenda item number 2 is opportunity for visitors to speak. Public comment is for the general public to address the board. Each person will have up to 5 minutes to provide public comment. Seeing none, we will move on to agenda item number 3. There is a clerical error regarding trustee names. It should read that Secretary Martin and Trustee Larson reviewed the March billings in April, and that Treasurer Bryan and Trustee Sullivan will review the April billings in May.
I was going to ask about that. I thought I was losing my mind.
I
Here.
flipped it over a couple times, like, wait, what? And I was like, good, I don't have to do it again.
No.
Darn it all.
Now we all know. Agenda item number 4 is the consent agenda. Is there a trustee who wishes to pull something from the consent agenda? If not, may I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda, which includes the minutes of the March 25th, 2026 board meeting, acknowledgement of the March 21st, 2026 treasurer's report, investment activity report, current assets report, revenue report, expense report, and the authorization of the April 15th, 2026 payment of bills.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, Jackie, call the roll, please.
Emily Swister.
Aye.
Vanessa Berry.
Aye.
Debbie Bryan.
Aye.
Josh Martin.
Aye.
Karen Larson.
Aye.
Laura Paley.
Aye.
Liz Sullivan.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes, thank you. Agenda item number 5 is unfinished business. 5A includes the BAS project, and 5B includes the lot development project with an action item under 5B1. Mark, would you please update the board on these projects, and after discussion, we'll take a vote on the action item.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you.
In terms of IBS, I've been tracking the emails. Essentially, they've been checking in with Will on Fridays. If not, Will's been checking with them actually on Wednesdays and Thursdays to make sure they're coming on Fridays. They've been coming. They're still not done. I think it's the short answer. We're pushing for updates on the overall list. Will's been pushing for that weekly. I've seen they're coming. It's the same thing. I don't know if there's been, one thing I will ask is if there's been any uncomfortable spots in the library. I'm sure there's been here and there, but with the seasonal change, that's something that we want to track to make sure that we give them that feedback as they go through here, especially as they're here.
There have been times that then within 15 minutes the system has responded as needed. So nothing that I've had to reach out for or that I was initially was concerned, and then when the BAS did what it's supposed to do, after 20 minutes you could tell that temperatures are starting to regulate. So
And it's taking longer because they are visiting on once a week basis. So like by the time you hear from us again, it's like they've been here 4 times. So it's taking
Not even a full week, yeah. But they're coming. There isn't a major issue right now. They're not asking for more money. I'm just gonna keep on going. On to more exciting news, the Nature Trail Development Project, so Kingston Lot, and we can look at the name as it goes through so I get it right in my reports. But in short, we talked about it last month. I'm gonna come back to you with Terra's proposed contract. We did reach out to them. They did confirm that they would have no changes to their proposed contract. They'd honored it. It was a couple months ago, as you recall, that we first looked at this. In the report, I did include the different breakdowns for the overall fee. So the total fee, including the 5K allowance for geotechnical testing and its allowance, so whatever they don't use, you don't spend, but is $133,725,000. What this includes is all the design work, bid assistance, which they'd be helping us put together the bid package, doing it and putting it out for public bid, construction administration, and that's all the work that it takes to look over the site and respond to submittals, respond to RFIs. And for those who weren't part of the construction process before, every product that gets put out onto that site would have a submittal tied to it that you'd want your design professional to review to make sure what they specified is actually what is going in on the property. Also includes a little bit of cost for closeout and warranty. It does include some of the ancillary sub-consultants to them as well, such as electrical and structural that they would need to bring on, so that's why it's all encompassing. I will note that they are anticipating as part of this fee that it would be I'll call it a procured bridge type component instead of one-off designing everything, to try to make it more efficient, cost effective, and things like that. They'd work with the library to find out, and there are bridges that are out there that you kind of purchase a bridge, that they'd work through what that would entail. It's part of they would help us with that and do that. They wouldn't necessarily design the beam member because it would be part of the pre-manufactured package. There's some advantages to that because when you go and procure things, you're procuring the bridge, you're not having a contractor go and detail it out. That's what their standard is what the proposal is for this type of bridge and project, which I think works well. And that's what they did show in their presentation a number of months ago. They did say too in terms of schedule, so I'll segue into that a little bit. And we put design Q2, Q3, assuming if the board wants to approve it this month, with contractor procurement in Q4 of 2026. We'd also want to look at whatever bridge is selected and work backwards from that availability. So in other words, if it's a bridge that's available in 3, 4, 5, 6 months, this works out great, especially for next year. If it's a bridge that's available a year from then, we want to just look at that and make sure everything ties up. So that's the anticipated schedule. And we just want to make sure that we're not picking something just because it's available tomorrow or today or whatever it might be. With all of that, it is within the $1.25 million project budget we put together. We actually used that number since we had it last time, so no surprises there. Here for any questions you might have.
I'll open it up to the board if anyone has any questions for Mark right now. I'm more than welcome to have him entertain them.
Can't juggle too well, but I'll try.
Does anyone have any questions for Mark?
No questions, just a general statement. It's a very thorough scope of work document with deliverables.
Yeah.
Really happy with it. Everything is incredibly well detailed. I wish I got these in real life.
Mark, will they be part of the meeting process, like with whomever we select for the construction phase?
Yes, so during the construction phase, we want them, for this type of project that might not be on site every week, but they'd be calling in for those OACs and things like that. You know, we're local here, I'd be here, type of things to make sure it works well. But yes, so that 31,000 is for that phase, specifically for that. Yeah. And then just because I know there's action, I don't have to speak too much after that. But next steps, if this does get awarded to us, we'll start talking to them if we have to go to the village and marry up any of the design process with anything that we have to do for use purposes of that lot. So I think that would be one of the first things we start doing here in design processes and get enough information to go to the village, make sure everything's understood. And then if there's anything with utilities, we'd look at that as well. I don't anticipate much. We're not putting gas out there. We're planning to run electrical from here to there. There's not much anticipated, but let's double check that there's nothing in
It's
easements.
just electrical, really.
That really is all it should be. Yeah. Which is, it really wouldn't be we're not anticipating it'd be a new utility feed. It'd be using a panel here to run off over there.
How long would it take for construction?
A project like this, I think I'm being overly conservative saying 6 months, but I'll use that as a guideline. I think you're probably looking closer to 4 months in reality, but you have weather, you have some different constraints back and forth. When the bridge comes in, the embankments, how that all ties together, it could be fairly quick, but I'll throw out there maybe 6 months plus minus with pre-construction kind of in that range. So I'm hoping a lot quicker.
So if we decide to award the bid tonight, so then next month, like would you be here, like where do you envision like next month what you'd be able to tell us?
So I don't know that we don't have a fully detailed design schedule yet with them. So we'd want to sit down with them. I think at a bare minimum, I would come to next month with here's the schedule, here's how we're laying it all out, and here's kind of these first steps if there's any updates to the plan. I would think they're going to, in a design process like this where they've already done some of the feasibility type pieces and some of the conceptual designs, maybe they'll be ready really quick with some, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that type of discussions? If not, maybe it's the month after that they come in with those, just to give enough time for them to develop that information with the staff administration first.
Thank you. Does anyone have any other questions for Mark before we do the action? Okay, well then, may I have a motion and a second for item 5B1?
I move to approve the proposal from Terra Engineering for the Kingston Lot Development Project in the amount of $133,725.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, Jackie, call the roll please.
Emily Swisner,
Aye.
Vanessa Berry,
Aye.
Debbie Bryan,
Aye.
Josh Martin,
Aye.
Karen Larson,
Aye.
Laura Bailey,
Aye.
Liz Sullivan.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Mark.
Get rolling.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you
thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night.
You
too. Okay, agenda item number 6 is committee reports. 6A is finance. Any report?
Nothing to report?
Okay. 6B is personnel and policy.
We're meeting next Wednesday at 7.
Okay. And what room are we meeting? Here, this one. Ooh, exciting. Great. And then 6C is physical plant. Any report?
Nothing to report.
All right, thank you. Moving on then, agenda item number 7 is staff reports. 7A is the director's report. Director Weinstein.
Okay, so we've had a lot of intergovernmental cooperation this month. Number one, we are just happy to report that the Lisle Library worked with the police department and were able to investigate and retrieve a couple of technology components that were taken from the library. And just due to the current sign of the times, we've implemented a number of extra security and procedural changes so that we can prevent this type of behavior in the future. Onto more positive. Illinois State Representative Margaret De La Rosa held a Mondays with Margaret here at the library on April 6th. She met with constituents and President Swistek and I met with her team. We talked about House Bill 5236, the Digital Protection Act, and word is she is going to co-sponsor that bill. And I believe they've already jumped a hurdle in legislation, the first hurdle, and it's gonna move on to hopefully pass.
Great,
Yeah,
great.
to give her some better pricing for public libraries in general, not just us. On a similar note, that's not in my report because it just occurred and I sent you all an email, but I coordinated with De La Rosa's team to host a Let's Talk About Data Centers. It's a community event that will be held here at the library in this room 2 Wednesdays, so after our personnel policy, then next Wednesday, April 29th at 7 p.m. The Sierra Club and the Citizens Utility Board will also be here to answer questions. They're going to talk about the environmental effects of data centers as well as how data centers will affect your utility bill. And also Representative De La Rosa will be here to talk about legislation in regulating data centers. And I think there are 2 draft bills floating around for Springfield right now. Registration for this program will be via the Illinois chapter of the Sierra Club, and that link will be on all the social media posts. So that's exciting for us. I have a feeling we're gonna have a lot of people in this room. And on the same intergovernmental bandwagon, the library hosted the DuPage Recorder's Office team here on April 7th. I coordinated with County Recorder Liz Chaplin and her team to station a table in the main lobby. They provided information to passersby on obtaining free certified copies of deeds, honor rewards cards for veterans, as well as property fraud alerts. So we had a lot of thank yous from our patrons for offering the service and will continue to do so. Moving on to grant opportunities, the library applied for an Illinois State Library grant for funds to purchase technology-based security equipment. The grants are to improve and proactively address security risks and safeguarding patrons, staff, and the assets of the library. Speaking of assets, I've submitted the 13-page application on April 9th. The deadline was today, so fingers crossed for us. This application included security camera enhancements for our library, as well as improving our accessibility for those with visual impairment. Again, I want to thank the police department. They offered a letter of support, so thank you to Chief Rodriguez, and we should hopefully hear back sometime in June about any awards if we were to receive one. I will skip my report reference on the working budget as we'll go over that later in the meeting. And then just lastly, got some show intel. National Library Week starts next week, so it's from April 19th through 25th. And we're gonna begin a week of celebration with an awesome author event on April 19th, Sunday at 2 o'clock. It's an afternoon with best-selling author Mary Kubica. This is her newest book. And this will be occurring at the Lisle High School auditorium, since we cannot accommodate hopefully all of the people who've registered for the program in this room. So we thank the High School for use of their auditorium. So Mary will be there. The first 150 registered attendees who show will get a free copy of the latest book. Yes.
Yeah,
We will
it's
also
really
have
nice.
books there for sale through Anderson's, and people can get their books signed by the authors. So it looks like a great event. And then all week, from the 19th through the 25th, Youth Services is hosting a fidget cube scavenger hunt.
Oh,
And
boy.
this is the lovely little cube
Oh,
that everybody will receive.
fun.
Pass that around. Yes, they're gonna be looking for characters in and around the Youth Services
Just
department
Yeah.
and
It has to
receive
be.
our
Yeah.
Is there an age
library.
limit on this thing?
So that's a fun thing to do all week.
Good one.
And then also, we have another departmental decorating war.
Yeah.
We had the pumpkin decorating
Yep.
contest for Fall Fest. This time, it's gonna be door decorating. So all week, patrons can vote for their favorite door that is a la the theme, Find Your Joy at the Library. And then, upon voting, patrons can have a little sweet treat with their vote. And then we will reveal the winner via social media. And then we also have a Find Your Joy
This is fun.
mini canvas art program and exhibit. Right now, you can pick up your kit, which includes information on the mini canvas. You get a little mini canvas, and here's like
Oh
a
my
completed
gosh.
little baby mini
Isn't that
canvas. It's so
cute?
The theme is Find Your Joy. We're gonna have an exhibit on Friday, April 24th. You also get a little paint set. So I expect all of you will be partaking in this.
Oh my gosh.
So yes, we'll have a little exhibit on April 24th at 7 o'clock. Is it 7 o'clock? And also want to mention that the Lisle Women's Club will be there. They're going to help us host the reception. They'll mingle with patrons and also promote their club at a table at the event. And then just to round out the week, on Saturday, April 25th, we are going to have Elephant and Piggy here at the library. Mo Williams characters. They're going to sing, dance, tell stories, and all of our character story times always draw a huge amount of families. So really looking forward to the whole week of events. And I just want to thank our Assistant Director, Will Savage, and the event team for putting together a really great program all week long for all ages. And then just one last thing, that's not in my report, but I wanted to thank the Lisle Women's Club. They came this week with a whole bunch of vases of daffodils. They placed them at every public service desk. They also gifted us with a lovely fruit basket that the staff got to partake in the staff break room. So just in celebration of spring, celebration of our relationship with the Lisle Women's Club, so it was very nice. Yes,
Nice.
that's my report.
Thank you.
Great,
Any
thank you.
questions for the director?
How many people are signed up for the Mary Kubika event so far?
Over 170.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay,
like,
the
we're-
books are gone.
Well, you have to.
You have to show up. Okay.
Register.
Register and show up.
but
Then
you
we
have
just
to
move
show
it
up.
down the list. Got
Is
it.
it being advertised at Anderson's? Is that?
I'm not sure if they're advertising it, but we have a lot of people
Yeah,
interested.
right, yeah, I bet.
That's great.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Any other questions for the director? Okay, then we're on to 7B, system percentage.
Thank you. So we've already discussed the BAS is kind of it's still happening. We've seen progress. So I'm not sure when the end will come, but hopefully soon. Plumbing, we have a bunch of our annual safety tests occur every April. That is because we reopened from our renovation in April of 23. So that's when a lot of this stuff rolls around. So we had backflow testing. It was done on April 6th. It showed that one device had failed, needs to be repaired. So I'm working with our fire safety partner, Johnson Controls, to get that scheduled. We had our semi-annual inspection on the roof. Our roofing company noticed an exhaust pipe with some flashing issues that was currently not leaking, but they identified it as if we don't take care of it, it will begin to leak. So they're coming out at the end of the month. We've scheduled on the 27th of April. They're supposed to be here to remedy that flashing issue. Staffing. So after 3 months of employment, full-time paraprofessional staff and librarians who are at 30 hours and up are eligible to pick a person in charge. So I usually will at least do one annual refresher, if not another one if we have new staff who need to be trained. But we had 2 new picks who needed to be trained, as well as then 7 other staff members who requested to show up for retraining. So that was successfully completed at the end of March. And then event team, as Tatiana mentioned, National Library Week is coming up. They've been doing a lot of hard work. They're also working on planning our summer read kickoff. Is coming up sooner rather than later. That's on May 30th this year. So it is a little bit earlier than usual. That is because all the schools get out a little bit earlier than usual. And we find that we get the best attendance, not only for the program, but for that event, if we can do it that first Saturday after school gets out.
And we also visit the schools beforehand.
Yeah, part of that is it's fresh in the kids' minds because Youth Services schedules visits that last week of school. So if we tell the kids on Wednesday there's a party this Saturday, they're more likely to be there than if we tell them there's a party in 2 weeks. So there we are.
Thank you. Any questions for the assistant director? Okay, thank you. All right, 7C, we have Laura Murph, Director of Technical Services, who's going to speak with us. Welcome,
show and
Laura.
tell as well.
Yes, a little bit of show and tell. Hi.
What are you gonna talk to us about this?
So I'm going to tell you how a book becomes a library book.
Okay.
First, I just wanted to let you know that we have 15 selectors for the library that use their very select knowledge to pick out the best books. So they're the ones that are choosing which gets to come, but they then send it to us. And then we also use 6 vendors, 6 different vendors to provide our material for the library, that also based off of what type it is and who it's serving. So the first step is that the selectors let us know that they have a cart or a list, and that's done a number of ways. Some vendors we check every day because we're ordering from them every day, or it's important, like Ingram is every day. We check Amazon every day because sometimes we have to order extra copies, and those will get here in 12 hours or less sometimes. Other ones are a little less often. So once we know that there is a cart to be ordered, our paraprofessional and technical services reviews the cart for any anomalies that stand out, like if they accidentally put 0 as the quantity or put 20 as the quantity, which would be odd for us. Sometimes they'll also look at price if it seems like it's exceptionally high. Sometimes it's because there's a deluxe package and then there's a regular one, and we can do with the regular one. So every once in a while, our selectors are awesome, so that does not happen often, just so you know. So once they've given it to us and we've pushed the pay button, then our work really starts. Because what we want to do is get all of that information into the catalog so that our patrons and the selectors know that we've ordered it and they can place it on hold. And so that's where our paraprofessional will import in what are called on order short mark records, and they are really short. They tell you the name, the author, hopefully whether or not it's fiction or nonfiction, but they are very, 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 very short. You get the ISBN number, and then half of the information in here is acquisition, so that we know when we ordered it and how much they told us we were going to pay for it. So we have to load all of those in. And then once all of those get loaded in, we wait for the book to arrive. If we're having any processing done by our vendor, which only one of them, Ingram, does a little bit of processing for us.
Can you describe what processing is?
I am getting to that part, hang on.
Library language.
We're usually looking at anywhere from 2 to 4 days to 1 to 2 weeks. We put in a lot of orders ahead of time, so a lot of that is done up front so that the books arrive in the library by the street date. We have a locked closet in the back where we put them all so they safely live. So we wait for the books to come in. We get deliveries every day from UPS. Once they come in, the same staff member that ordered the books then receives them. She opens up all the boxes, checks the invoices, and checks each book individually to make sure that it's not damaged, that it's the book we ordered. If it's supposed to be covered, then it is. And once all of that's done, she then has to, through the barcode on the back, scan all of the titles in. And what that does is tell our system, we use the barcode that's on it, tells our system that we have received it. And it also tells us if anybody put it on hold. Because if it has a hold on it, it gets fast-tracked through life. And it will be on that shelf or in that patron's hand if they come pick it up right away within 24 hours. So let's say this book has a hold on it. We get it just like you would have bought it from a bookstore. It's got a loose cover. There's nothing in it. It's brand new. So this is where our processing comes in. So once we know that we've got a book that has no processing on it, we have to get it ready to become a library book. And that means protecting it so that about 150 people will read one book before it gets replaced by a new one. And that can vary, but that's usually about average, the use of a library book. So our processing involves putting on Mylar covers onto the dust jacket so that protects it. We then wrap it around it. You've all seen them taped on them. So we do that, and then we have our barcodes that get printed out. We have to apply a barcode onto them, and then you've probably seen in the back, we have RFID tags so that you can now use the self-checkout without having to scan the barcode. Barcodes are still placed on the book because that's the information that's on the RFID tag. So if anything damages the RFID tag and we can't read it anymore, we can still track it by the barcode that's on it. So even though it seems like a lot's on there repetitive, it all serves a purpose. So once all that has been applied to it, it goes to our cataloger. And our cataloger is what takes the little mark record and turns it into a giant mark record that has all of the subject headings. So for example, this book basically told us it's fiction. And that's all we knew. The latest Patterson with Viola Davis, that gave us a summary, but it still had no subject headings. It had nowhere in there that it was a mystery or a thriller. So none of that information that allows our patrons to actually locate something in our catalog happens happens while our librarian catalogers have the item in hand and they look over it and they evaluate it and they put in the most important information and we decide where it's going to go. Then goes back to one more person. Once the cataloger's done and they're happy with everything that they've done, it then goes back to this processor who completes the processing by linking that particular item into our catalog. Because right now, we just kind of have a dummy thing in there. There's just one link. We could have 10 copies of that book coming in, but it makes it look like we're only getting one. So once it goes back to our processor, they link in all of them. And just so you know, we have 129 templates for all of the different items that we enter into the library, depending on what shelf it goes on, whether or not it's a mystery, a CD, DVD player, and all of that is to help curtail human error when you're doing that much data entry. Mistakes happen. So this way we fill in as much as we can, and then we still have someone that there's always a few details that have to be put in manually once they have the item in their hands. But that's also a way that they then review it. And it adds another person that looks over the mark record and makes sure that, you know, we didn't accidentally hit U instead of T. I'm sure everybody's seen a typo on the call letter, on the spine label. But once it's gone through all of that, if it has a hold on it, we run it right out to CERC and it gets scanned in and the patron gets notified. If there isn't a hold on it, then it joins all its other friends on the cart and waits for circulation to come. And they'll come and grab the new material and they scan it in. And that's another chance for if somebody put a hold on it in the 24, 48 hours that it was in the library but not linked or in between these stages, that's another way that it gets triggered and we make sure that we catch all of the holds before they go out onto the floor for the patrons. And then they come out on the floor looking like this. They got a nice pretty cover and they have a little an RFID tag on it, spine label, the new sticker, and it's ready to go fulfill its library book life.
That's great.
Very cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, that was great.
I really enjoyed learning about that process.
The
So
life
do
of
you
a
have-
book.
I really, like,
Yeah, it is.
it's no
it is,
idea
yeah.
the stuff that you would have to go through
So many
to
steps,
do that,
yeah.
so thank you for sharing that, it was really great.
You're more than welcome. I know we're behind scenes and
Yeah.
so we don't
You're
get,
doing the important work.
you know, we think so.
We appreciate it's a great team and
Yeah.
they should get all the accolades for making sure that all of our materials get into the hands of the patrons who want them. Holds as well as, you know, browsability, so thank you, Laura.
Very nice.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes,
Does
thank
anybody
you.
have any questions?
So tell me, the RFID, I am always using Libby, so I feel like I don't get that
Oh.
many real books anymore,
Yeah.
you know, so I'm feeling like I don't know what that is.
It's old technology, it really is.
Okay.
It's like 40, 50 years old.
Okay.
But it's been in libraries now for about 10 to 15. And really what it does, for us only, it's hard to see because it's
Yeah.
white.
Okay, that's, I see it now.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
yeah,
it's
yeah,
a
yeah.
2x2 square and it's got a little antenna in it. And
Oh.
it contains our barcode. And then, so when we put it on a self-check, or, you know, you see how we've checked them out without scanning the barcode, it's reading that RFID, the little antenna, it's reading the information in the barcode, telling Polaris, the catalog, that it's free to go, that it's
Right.
checked
Oh,
out. So
wow.
that's its way of connecting, helps take out that step, and it's an easy way to track the books too. Because this way, if anything walks out the door, the alarm goes off.
Yeah, yeah.
And we have RFID on just about everything that goes into a patron's hands. So even the microphones that are used in this room when they rent a meeting room is tagged. So it can't walk
And
away.
when people return books, if you use the automatic sorter,
Mhm.
the RFID can read what it is and then it sorts into the right bin.
That's cool.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah,
We need to do a field trip.
Yeah, I feel like we do. So there's an automatic sorter?
Yeah, it's a smaller, some libraries have sorters
Oh my
that would
gosh,
take up
they're
this whole
huge.
room.
Yeah.
Ours
Sure.
takes up the size of that little kitchenette.
Yeah.
So we have a 3-bin or 4?
we have a
Three-bin
three bin.
Oh my gosh. So
Yeah.
like fiction, nonfiction, children's
And then, like,
or
there's a-
something?
We have
There's like a
adult,
miscellaneous.
children's, and then the catch-all bin is for holds and video games, DVDs, and if it can't read it, if it did,
Yeah,
the tag did
yeah.
get damaged, that it happens,
Oh
especially in
my
children's
gosh.
books.
Wow.
Then it sends it in that bin so that it gets
Yeah, I know.
a hand on
I didn't
it.
get for that.
But yeah, it
yeah.
cuts down some of that time and allows our staff to help patrons with
Yeah.
things instead of just putting books on a shelf in the back.
Right.
Wow.
Very cool.
Any other
Thank
questions
you.
for Laura? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
No problem.
really
Thank you for
interesting.
having
Thank
me.
you.
Have a good night.
Y'all have a good rest of your meeting.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Alright, moving on, agenda item number 8 is new business. 8A is the draft working budget discussion. Dr. Weinstein, would you walk us through the draft, please?
I will. So the spreadsheets with all the account lines are in the packet. However, the nuts and bolts of the draft are outlined in the overview document that precedes the spreadsheet, so I'm gonna go over that now. The draft 26-27 working budget covers projected expense and revenue categories that administrative staff have compiled in consultation with all the department directors, including who we just met with, Laura, as well as our financial advisors. Over the past couple of months, we've been busy seeking like estimates and quotes from our vendors, as well as considering new initiatives for the next fiscal year. We also look at CPI. For example, in March of this year, the consumer price index has increased. It rose about almost 1%. So that moved the CPI annual percentage up to 3.3%, kind of insinuating an acceleration of inflation. So I feel comfortable with the levy we just passed this last year, as well as what we're going to talk about next, moving forward with our expense categories. So that's what we'll go over first. And as you all know, our employee expenses and our health benefits represent the largest expenditure of our budget in the corporate fund. The ILA standards manual states that salaries alone can comprise up to 60% of your budget, and salaries plus the benefits can comprise up to 70%. So our library budget shows that salaries comprise 50% of the total budgeted expenses, and salaries plus all benefits comprise 63.5% of our budgeted expenses. So we are well within the ILA standard recommendation. So the total budgeted employee costs show an increase of 4.28% from the prior year. This accounts for potential increases as well as inflationary increases in the healthcare costs. Moving on to building. Our building costs include all of our utilities, maintenance contracts such as landscaping, HVAC, elevators, cleaning services, rubbish removal, phone system, as well as non-contractual building repair work. So this line shows an increase of 9.77%, primarily due to extremes in prices for utilities, as well as the increased projection for upgrading our cleaning service. We have an RFP out right now, and I know Will is going to do a walkthrough at the end of this month with interested service providers, and then we'll make a decision in May.
Yes.
Correct?
Mhm.
Okay. Operating costs include postage, printing, banking fees, and processing of materials. Laura just talked about processing. This line shows an increase of almost 2%, aligning with inflationary projections. And it's very similar to last year's request. Moving on to insurance, this includes property damage, workers' comp, and this category shows an increase of almost 5% per the recommendation of LIRA. That's our risk advisor agency. Moving on to contractual costs include our attorney's fees, audit costs, investment agency fees, outsourced IT services, IT licensing, and payroll charges. We've generally spent within our budget from year to year, and we've also received very reasonable quotes from our contracted vendors. So this cost line shows a very modest increase of about 1.16% from the prior year. And then under personnel development, here we're going to see a decrease. This includes staff and trustee dues, conference attendance, continuing education and training, and staff recognition. We're seeing a 9.47 decrease here, just primarily due to not receiving requests from different department directors for like certification in something or receiving a degree in something. Outside of that, a lot of conferences are now available online for online participation. It doesn't mean we're not sending people to conferences, we are. We're just not, the main reason is we haven't received a lot of requests for like certification and other things. So that's why there's a decrease there. Under equipment, this includes costs for the Polaris database, Aspen catalog overlay, technology purchases, and minor facility fixtures and repairs. This category shows a 9.2% increase to reflect the actual expenditures and technology hardware category for 25-26 if you looked at the spreadsheet, and to support hardware purchases in 26-27. This is if we don't get that grant. I still want to enhance our security here, so we're putting that into the budget, and fingers crossed we receive the grant, but we have to include it in the budget as well. Library materials costs include all our physical and digital content, as well as interlibrary loan costs. This has an increase of almost 2%, as we generally spent within or below our budget line here. And we did add an inflationary projection of around 2% for this line. And then under programs, this includes all of our library programs, community relations costs, and supplies for those activities. Again, we spent within our budget on a regular basis year over year, so we haven't requested an increase. We're keeping that flat. Same for contingency, that's remaining flat. And then we get to the big numbers. Under restricted, this category includes the restricted corporate and supplemental IMRF expenses. So restricted operating costs include our per capita grant, other grants, as we just applied for the Illinois State Library grant, gifts, debt repayment, and transfers to special reserves. So under the supplemental funding for IMRF, our fund is healthy, so we're not requesting any additional increase here. However, the transfer to special reserve shows a very significant increase because we are moving monies from the corporate fund into special reserve, so you will see a 358% increase. And again, it will not occur all at once in one lump sum. We're gonna work with our investment advisor to move things monthly over into there. And then speaking of special reserve, these expenses include all capital improvement projects and some emergency expenses and facility enhancements. You will see a 22% increase from year to year. This includes our Kingston lot development project as well as the allowance for a server room generator. Okay, now we're gonna move on to revenue. Under corporate, as you know, the tax levy increased per CPI last year, and the categories of personal property replacement tax and interest income projections were provided by the library's financial advisors. We do anticipate an increase in TIF surplus as the UTI TIF is going to sunset, but we don't know about how much, so we're looking at like previous years surplus, and we did an estimate of that. All of these factors show a projected 5.52% increase in corporate revenue. And then under IMRF, the levy last year was increased due to increased IMRF rates. So around January, is it January, Jackie, that we received the new rate?
I will know in November what
Okay.
it will be, which will go in effect in January.
Okay, so in fall, we'll learn of the new rates for IMRF, which will also affect how we levy next year for that fund. So our estimates are conservative, showing a 9.7% increase in this line due to not knowing what those new rates are. We're just gonna guess they're higher, and if they're not, great. Under FICA, this shows a negligible increase, not even 0.5% here. This aligns with the Social Security rates and just a modest increase for interest revenue. Under special reserve, you're gonna see a significant increase again due to the transfer of corporate funds to special reserve for the Kingston Lot project, showing a revenue increase of 6.86% from the prior year. And I'm just gonna round out those were all the categories. I just wanna round out the picture for our expenses. So overall, it shows a reasonable increase of 4.98% in projected operating expenditures from budget to budget, so from last year to this year. Again, this increase accounts for anticipated inflation, potential staffing changes, and flexibility for operational and or service needs. Budget to budget, this amounts to about $236,000. With increase in prices and the instability in the investment markets this past year, it just reinforces us to have a flexible account lines where necessary, and this again is supported by our financial advisors. And I'll also mention historically, we've always spent within or below our overall budgeted parameters year after year. Under revenues, we show a budget to budget increase of about 5.4% in projected operating revenue. Again, budget to budget, this amounts to about $262,000. Again, we take into account the county determinations for our budget tax lines. We've used conservative estimations of interest income and potential grant funding and other income from our desk income for our draft. So this 26-27 working budget is a balanced budget as our expenditures are expected to remain below our revenues. And between the projected total expenses and revenues, we see a positive like $130,000 differential, $131,000 differential. We've applied for various grants to help supplement our revenue this year. Those grants again are reflected in both the revenues and expenditures. And just in summary, we feel like this is a reasonable working budget draft, and if the trustees, again, have any questions now, happy to answer. If I can't answer them, we're gonna bring this back to the board next month for passage. Or you can forward me any questions if you want a further review after hearing the explanations, and then I can answer them next month as well.
Thank you. Great. Does anyone have any questions for the director at this time about the draft budget? Nope. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Bernstein. Okay. Oh my gosh, we're already at item 9, which is opportunity for trustee comments. How is that possible? All right. I'll start with trustee Sullivan.
Every quarter when we get the
the summaries from each department. I really enjoy reading those. And in particular, I thought the fact that we have a trivia night, that is so appropriate for a library. And I thought that it was neat that Xavier is running those, and that would be fun to see. And the other thing that I thought was really good is the iPhone fundamentals. I would think that's probably something that I probably should be in. But in any case, thank your people for writing those. They're really well done.
Yeah.
That was it.
Okay, thank you. Right, Secretary Martin.
Nothing at this time,
Vice President Barry.
Yeah, I really like reading the quarterly reports, so that was fun. I was invited to participate in COD's strategic planning focus groups, and I was there mainly for a business standpoint, but I got to talk about how much the library likes working with like the art programs and the community outreach, and how we hope that they continue to focus on that, so that was fun.
Thank you. Okay. Treasurer Brian.
I love their quarterly reports as well. I really enjoyed Laura's report today. I feel like I learned something. I haven't been behind the scenes at Technical Services, so I'm gonna have to request a special tour because I'm intrigued by that sorting machine. Yeah, and I appreciate the folders instead of the bags for our reports. I really
Yes.
like that. Thank
Agree.
you so much, yeah, for making that change, and great job on the budget. Not easy.
Thank you. Trustee Haley.
I got to take the tour to see what
Yeah.
happens with all the books, and it was amazing this
Yeah.
summer, so I guess I got lucky. Ditto on all of the quarterly reports. I love reading about all the things that I may or may not see or hear about or see on social media, so I think that's terrific. I'm excited for Library Week next week.
Yeah.
That's it.
Thank you. Trustee Larson.
I really enjoyed her presentation. I thought it was so interesting and how many people are involved in all the steps and RFIs and yeah, very cool. Thank you for the draft on the budget. Very good. And that's about it.
Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you.
I'll go since I'm the last one. Again, same as some of you've said already, really enjoyed the quarterly reports by the department directors. Really enjoyed the addition of the rotation of the department directors coming in to speak with us. So again, thank you, Liz, for suggesting that, whatever that was, but I love that. I think that's great that they come in and share with us information that we don't necessarily know about or see on a regular basis. So I think that's great. Thank you for all the work going into National Library Week next week. I did pick up my little kit when I was here earlier in the week. Picked up for my whole family, so I'm gonna make them all do it this weekend. And then bring them back. So I'm excited to see that. So I hope all the trustees will do them as well. And to do that. So I'm looking forward to that. And already hearing about summer read kickoff is like, ooh, it's so soon. So I'm excited about that as well. And thank you, Director Weinstein, for the work on the budget. Appreciate that as well.
I know you all read the application.
Yes.
For the grant, right?
Of course.
I did.
Thank you for spending all that time on that too.
Oh my gosh.
I know timing.
Not every word, but I read
So,
Good for you.
So thank you. I hope everyone has a wonderful evening, and the last item on the agenda is to adjourn, so may I have a motion and a second, please?
I move to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, we are adjourned at 7:48 p.m.
All right,
Thanks,
thank you,
everyone.
good, thank you.
it's not over here. Canvas kits sometimes we.
I know,
Where do
I
we
wasn't
get
either,
those?
those are so cute, I know.
I think so. Where do we get them?
Adult services.
Adult services.